Коледжот Yahya Kemal Скопје успешно го реализираше проектот Erasmus плюс траги од различностите. Проектот вклучува партнерства на средни училишта од Европа во чии рамки биле планираните патувања во партнерските држави на учесниците. Проектот партнерски се реализирал со средни училишта од Холандија, Литванија и Германија, а учениците, учесници преку активностите навлегле подлабоко во сензитивната тема за предрасудите како многу значена за сите млади луѓе. Во присуство на проектните партнери и учесниците во Скопје во коледжот Yahya Kemal се одржа и завршната манифестација на проектот. Спроведувате проект, а токму на завршницата на оваа недела, со која што го одбележувате практично крајот и ги сумирате резултатите, како сте задоволни од она што го реализиравте во текот на проектот?
Добро прашање, затоа што овој проект е прв воедно Erasmus плюс проект на училиштето Yahya Kemal коледж, а и мој проект, јас значи водам и координирам прв Erasmus плюс проект. Втора работа, што е многу битно да се спомене сега, периодот во кој се подготвуваше овој проект и предизвиците со кои се соочивме подготвувајќи го проектот, значи пандемијата ни причини многу проблеми, така да кажам. Во која смисла? Затоа што ќе планираме една активност и мислев дека е договорена за да следниот ден ми се јават и ми откажат се, причина е пандемијата. Така да целата ситуација беше многу неизвестна до самиот последен ден, дали ќе дојдат сите представници кои што веќе ги букираа летовите од Холандија, од Литванија, да не некој се зарази од корона и така натаму. Но сите дојдоа тука, освен Германија, представниците од Германија, нашата партнерска школа од Рутескем Германија, затоа што тие не можеа физички, значи нивната влада не им дозволуваше физички да присуствуваат, но беа со нас онлайн, дигитално, и тоа беше уште плюс предизвик во целата оваа ситуација. И сега на крај да одговорам на вашето прашање дали сум задоволна. Да го сумирам одговорот, со оглед на тоа дека е прв проект мој, прв проект на нашето училиште и во кој период и во каков период се тоа се подготвуваше, јас на нашата церемонија на отварање, кога значи никој со никого не се познаваше и кога после еден час заедно, значи средба нивна, видов како тие зборуваат меѓусебно, како да се познаваат долго време, сватив дека целата таа ситуација и овој проект е многу успешен, плюс да кажам дека темата што ја обработувавме, веќе е завршено, е предрасуди. Темата беше таа, многу една сензитивна тема, но се надевам дека меѓу учесниците барем некој вид од предрасуда е стопен, и ако тоа е случено, јас навистина можам да кажам дека проектот е успешно реализиран.
Се надевам дека успешното реализирање на овој проект ќе биде мотив и понатаму да се креираат вакви проекти со кои што ќе се вклучат учениците и со кои што особено ќе се постигне ваков тип на активност, мрежување со нивните другари од светот ширум, за да може да се направат уште поголеми придобивки од аспект на квалитетот на образованието, на кое што особено сте познати во нашата средина. Ви посакувам успех и понатаму во вашата работа.
Благодарам.
Како изгледа да се биде домаќин ученик на една недела во рамките на проектот кој што го спроведува вашето училиште?
Пред се тоа што организаторите се избори покрај рестрикциите за пандемијава да го направат овој проект возможен, го прави на еден начин и повеќе посебен од претходните, бидејќи прв пат се среќаваме со ваков начин на извршување на ваков вид на проект. За мене лично беше прекрасно искуство, верувам и за сите оние кои беа исто така дел од овој проект. Неколку изминативе денови имавме можност да бидеме дел од едно секојдневие, кој го делевме со деца од Холандија и Литванија, и некако низ пракса успеавме да увидиме дека и покрај физичката дистанца која нели стои меѓу нас и покрај сите тие километри, ние сепак сме многу слични, многу блиски. Многу е чудно и неверојатно е што за толку кратко време толку многу пријателства се створија, ние толку се зближивме и сите сме како да сме се познавале многу долго време и останува само да кажам дека сите се надеваме на едно долго пријателство после ова.
Јас посакувам да трајат овие ваши пријателства и тоа да биде поттик на вакви успешни млади луѓе да продолжат да креираат убави проекти, да бидат дел од нив, за да може да создаваат и вакви вредности. Ви благодарам.
Благодарам.
Вие сте дел од проектот кој што го спроведуваше вашето училиште. Какво е искуството да се биде дел од ваков Erasmus Plus проект и колку тоа е мотив да го препорачате ова искуство на вашите ученици и на наставниците воедно?
Искуството е навистина извонредно, а зашто е така ќе ви одговорам, како што ќе ви одговорувам, зашто мислам дека би го препорачал. Значи, ние во овој проект работиме на тема предрасуди, а тоа е малку иронично, бидејќи сите што учествуваат во овој проект, во моје искуство, немаат никакви предрасуди. Најубавиот дел од овој проект е уствари за мене мешањето со луѓе, шансата да се удружиме со луѓе кои што се од толку различни места, но сепак некако си наоѓаме толку блиски и слични работи меѓусебно. Проектот е шанса на вистина да можеме да видиме како светот околу нас има мали разлики и како тие разлики не се причина за ние да не можеме да се удружиме и да се сакаме меѓусебно. Во ова искуство мое, значи јас ја имав честа да отидам и во Германија, се запознав со многу луѓе, се запознав и направив нови пријатели во подалечни места од Македонија, се запознав со нови култури, видов колку ствари има варијација во светот, варијација во културите и би рекол дека проектот е перфектна шанса тоа да се види дека светот не е мал, дека има многу за гледање и тоа што сме различни не треба да е причина да се блокираме еден од друг.
И во тој контекст еве една порака до своите врсници и до сите млади луѓе како да ги доживуваат предрасудите.
Предрасудите. Би рекол дека имање предрасуди е човечка природа, но треба еден човек активно да ги смалува, да не дозволува да го окупираат на еден начин. Значи, нормално е кога ќе отидеме во ново место да се чувствуваме како луѓето да се, да речеме, чудни или полоши или подобри од нас поради некоја специфична причина, но ние како луѓе треба да сме свесни од тоа и со отворен ум да пристапиме кон тие што се, да речеме, странци и да ги разбереме уствари и во тој процес на разбирање на другите луѓе ќе видиме дека предрасудите се само кочница за една убава дружба.
Кои се вашите впечатоци од престојот во Скопје, Северна Македонија?
This is our first visit to North Macedonia and Skopje, and the first impression is very important. So the psychologists say that a person forms his first impression in half a minute, less than half a minute. So my first impression was a warmth, friendliness, and welcoming atmosphere. So firstly, when I saw Veselcha and her students at the airport late at night, felt their hugs. Later, when we went outside the airport, the weather was welcoming, warm, in comparison with the weather in Lithuania. When we started preparing for our conference, the icebreakers helped students to know each other better. And one of my students said that it seems as if she had known all those students for a long time. So that shows that welcoming atmosphere and friendliness that we feel here, being here.
Вие сте дел од овој прекрасен проект кој што по партнерство со другите земји го спроведувате. На кој начин активностите за предрасуди ви го сменија мислењето?
The Erasmus project was very useful for me to form my point of view concerning different topics. The activities we have performed at Skopje reminded me not to judge a book by its cover. Especially the trip to the Red Cross, seeing all the kids running around barefoot on a dirty ground with shattered glass all over it, made me feel very emotional. And at that moment, I realized that prejudice can ruin lives. Homeless people are still people, they can be very smart, very loving, but just because they don't look a certain type of way, nobody wants to accept them.
Što go pravi ovoj projekt Erasmus Plus toliko poseben za vas?
It is a very special project because we were very excited to welcome a candidate EU member in our midst, and it added a sense of urgency to our focus on European citizenship, to have North Macedonia show us its European potential. But that's not all. Secondly, it is a wonderful project because it ranges from the north to the south of Europe and from the east to the west. And that adds extra depth to the projects we do. And we do them digitally and in physical teams as well. But I would say last but not least, it's challenging to ensure the continuity of an international project at the best of times. But, of course, we've had to deal with a pandemic, with lockdowns of entire nations, and with severe travel restrictions. So I think it's the sense of cooperation and the chemistry between all our EU students, EU club students, and our coordinators that really has helped to pull us through. And I think that's a thing we can all be very proud of.
Може ли да ја опишете програмата која беше дел од овој проект?
The project is about prejudices and how it affects people's lives. And our first big assignment was to go and interview people in the city. But first we got a workshop from Sonna Pellet. She taught us different techniques on how to interview people and gave us some real good tips and tricks. Then we went to the city center to conduct the interviews, and we were really surprised of how open and honest people were with us. So that was very nice, and we learned a lot of things. Like prejudices are a way bigger thing than we all realized. So that made us even more prouder to be in this project. Later that day, we also had a chance to talk with the Dutch Vice Ambassador here in Skopje, Robert Dekker, and we shared our experiences with the country with him, and we told him about the project, and he told us things about what he experienced in Skopje and how what kind of duties he has as a Vice Ambassador, which a lot of us didn't know, so that was very cool to learn. The next day we had a field trip. We met North Macedonian MP. She was a school psychologist, and now she's a member of the parliament. And she told us all about how she had to deal with prejudices at the school she worked with the students, and she taught us about the solutions she used to solve all these problems. And then she also told us about her political career and the prejudices she had to deal with on her own. And like being a woman in politics, she had a lot of struggles, but those struggles made her a better politician and person. And in the final project of the final product of this project, it's a small documentary which will be displayed this evening. And that's a summary of everything we've learned this week. But I think much more important than this project is like the things we did outside of the project with the students in our own free time. The things we did with the guest families, the host families, they were so welcome, and we felt so welcome in the country. We learned a lot about culture. It was just amazing. We all think this was one of the highlights of our school career, and we're just very thankful to be in this project.
Fortunately, we were not able to meet during the Corona crisis. That meant that we had to meet digitally. So we gave our students a choice. They could ask questions and they could decide whom they wanted to meet. So we had interviews and we met digitally. And we had a special project. That meant that we tried to build the ideal European state. That was a project which meant a lot of success for the students and a lot of fun because they could try to bring in their own ideas. So all in all, I hope that we can be together again, that we can work on our ideas and projects again. And it's really a pity that the Germans cannot be present right now.
Working digitally has its advantages because this way we can gather a wider range of information. While we are working here in Germany and can get our insights into the project, people and the students from Skopje can gather information while they are there and talk to all the other participating countries.
Basically, it also means that we can actually connect with each other even though we can't physically meet, which is just in a pandemic like Corona a huge success. Also means we can cross borders in new and exciting and different ways than ever before. And it's making us still able to learn. Also, it shows that in the future, distances and borders will no longer limit us from meeting each other.
Много подздрав од Штутгарт, од каде ни одржуваме нашата конференција за тоа што ние не можеме да патуваме.
Програмските активности во проектот се богати, како и активностите на учениците во рамките на престојот во Скопје.
Dear Erasmus students, parents, coordinators and principals, welcome to the closing ceremony of our youth conference in Skopje. I told you the end would come real quick, and here we are in the end, enjoying the last day together. I genuinely hope each and every one of you made the most out of the stay in Macedonia.
Most of you tried our classic burek. Some of you had a walk where the youth of most Macedonians hang out. Some of you had the taxi ride of their life. It was quite funny for some. I'm sure that everybody got the chance to experience and enjoy something new. After all of the activities you all have done, I'm certain you have come to understand the topic of prejudice even better. I personally had the pleasure of helping some of you. What follows up now is closing up and enjoying the last few moments together.
So thank you everyone for being here. For a lot of the Lithuanian and the Dutch students, this might be the last time that you're here at our school, Yahya Kemal. I hope that you all had a wonderful time while you were here. Now, during my first day at the opening ceremony, I gave my first speech, and I was very nervous, and I only saw unfamiliar faces in the crowd. I attempted not to focus on your unfamiliar features and on your watchful eyes because I was quite nervous and I just tried to make a good first impression. However, today I look at you all confidently, at those once strange faces which now belong to my friends, and I might not see for a while, perhaps even years. While you were here, for the very few days that you were, you got to share our lives with us, and we got to share our lives with you. We talked endlessly about our cultures, our traditions, countries, language, and even about ourselves as individuals, our hobbies, our families, our friends. Now, when we very rarely notice how unique we are and how unique our lives are until we get to spend some time with other individuals who come from different backgrounds. Now, herein lies the importance of otherness. When we pointed out our differences, it didn't push us further apart. Instead, it brought us closer together. Our unique experiences and our environments that we grew up in shape us as individuals, and when we share them with others, we suddenly become aware of how important they are and how great of a role they play in who we become. Now, our time together was very limited, but I believe that we made every second count. So we got to express ourselves, and I was truly, truly impressed with each and every group and the work that you did, and especially with how each and every one of you grew as individuals in such a short time. Now I can't help but wonder about how much we could have achieved if we only had a little more time. What I was truly blown away from was your collaboration. On the very first day, you came here and you began to talk to each other fearlessly, making conversations. You put aside any possible prejudice, and you proved that no matter how great or small our differences are, they are never too great to stand between true understanding and teamwork. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'd like to take the working groups back to the two questions I predicted they would have during the opening ceremony. They were related to all the activities we have had the past week. Now, from this perspective, I can surely say they enhanced our individualities and strengthened our togetherness. The activities made you guys realize where our country stands with prejudice, but it also made us more aware of it. We were really surprised with some of the information we have gathered. However, it is really good that we did, because now we know our weak points as a country who deals with prejudice, and we can work on them. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for really being punctual, hardworking, persistent, and eager to get to know our situation better and improving it. So wholeheartedly thank you. To me, this experience was something new and something that I really enjoyed. I hope you guys did as well. Hopefully there will be something mindful that will stick with you for your whole life. As we reach the end of this journey, the nostalgia already starts to hit. Nevertheless, I wish we can look back at the memories we made and remember each other for the best during our whole life journey. Thank you guys for your attention.
So, today we're here again, but this time we have new answers in our hands. You got a glimpse of a new world, and even though it was just a glimpse, it is enough to create a new you. The things that we learned about each other, our differences and similarities will help us complete our development as a mature person that is aware of and respects the cultural differences. Apart from that, prejudice has always been a part of our lives. Personally, it has been a big part of mine. So I believe that Macedonia, being a diverse country referring to ethnicity and culture, is a great opportunity for students to experiment how prejudice actually affects our lives. Now that you know, up and down, how we live our lives, it will actually influence your decision on your lifestyle. We are approximately the same age, some of us the same genders, and some of us the same cultures. But what really characterizes us is the way we think. Prejudice can be based on any of the previous factors which I mentioned. But here, we got to know that we have a lot more in common with people than we think. And we do not necessarily have a lot in common with someone that we share the same gender, nationality, or culture with. To wrap it all up, thank you. Thank you for being here in Macedonia and taking advantage of this opportunity. Thank you for your time and effort. Thank you for being open-minded enough to live 5 days in our lives and interested enough to work on a topic that has changed all of our lives. If this generation establishes a continuous chain of people ready to demolish prejudice, the world will be a better place. And now, I'm happily going to announce Ms. Veselcha to come up on the stage and give us her speech.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, our Yahya Kemal College authorities, our students' parents. Good evening, our Erasmus friends from the Netherlands, Lithuania, and Germany. Unfortunately, our German Erasmus friends weren't able to join us physically, of course, due to the pandemic in our Erasmus journey. In our Erasmus journey, however, they joined us digitally. Namely, the whole preparation for this conference in Skopje was quite a challenge that you could not imagine beforehand. Despite everything, we are on our last day. We are actually on our last moments of our Erasmus conference in Skopje.
The topic the students were working on these 4 days was prejudice. Actually, the more we were getting in depth on this phenomenon called prejudice, the more we became aware of the existence of so many prejudices around us. Once I read somewhere that prejudice means to prejudge. In other words, you are making a decision about something before you have enough information to base it on. Just an example of prejudging. One might say, no, we are not visiting that country. That country and those people living there are ... I'll leave it to your imagination. However, the fact is that the person saying this has never been to that country and he's never been given the chance to get to know any of those people, their different culture, their different lifestyle, and their different everything, I would say. Our dear guests, you must agree with what I'm going to say now. This world would be such a boring place to live in if all the nations had the same everything. Moreover, it's very easy to accept somebody in your life, somebody who kind of meets your criteria. We should work on changing our mindsets. Why? Simply because progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. Actually, prejudice is the child of ignorance. I, as a teacher, feel obliged to teach my students that the greatness of a person is their ability to accept differences. Failing to do so might prevent you from meeting your lifetime friend, your soulmate, etc. These 4 days were filled with prejudice activities. Afterwards, the students were with their host families, another opportunity to get to know to each other. I could talk on this topic for hours, but I won't. I will only say this: yes, we are all different. But my dear friends, that is the surface. Otherwise, we all cry when we are sad. We all laugh when we are happy. This notion, prejudice, is very sensitive. That's why I would like to finish with an ending from a comedy film about prejudice, and it goes like this. There are apples, there are oranges, there are lemons. They all taste different, but at the end of the day, they're all fruits. If each one of us Erasmus participants here managed to melt at least one prejudice during these 4 days, I can dare say that this conference in Skopje was a success. We, the whole team, prepared this conference, trying to make it useful and constructive, yet pleasant and unforgettable. My genuine thank you to my Yahya Kemal College authorities, to my students' parents, of course, and to my sweet, fantastic, creative, responsible Erasmus students, and of course my dear colleague Ms. Gordana, without whom I don't know what I would have done. Now we are looking forward to our next conference in Dordrecht, the Netherlands. Thank you.
Today is Eda's birthday, so let's all wish her a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Eda. Happy birthday to you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Karin Schilders, one of the international coordinators from the Netherlands. My co-coordinator and dear friend Karin Paalberg is over there. Thank you for giving us such a warm welcome at Yahya Kemal College in this wonderful city of Skopje. Our school, the Insula College Halmaheraplein, is situated in the southwest of the Netherlands, and our old town of Dordrecht is often called Little Amsterdam by visitors. Dordrecht, about 15 kilometers from the big harbor city Rotterdam, surrounded by water, is very special too. Although our pupils are used to completely different circumstances, experiencing a different culture in a different setting, they have felt very safe and at home in their host family for the past week. While working together for almost 3 years, we teachers have become friends. Our special thanks go to the school, to Mr. Dürzen and Mr. Tauk, and the host families in Skopje. They all took such good care of our boys and girls, so our stay at Yahya Kemal College will remain a big success in our memories and in our hearts, not only for Europe, but for all of us individually. We hope that we can welcome the pupils and their teachers in the Netherlands in February 2022, when it is our turn to organize the International Youth Conference of this Erasmus Plus project. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Diana Vaidžiulė from Lithuania, Šiauliai. Our town is situated in the north of Lithuania, and that's it. Okay, now there was an opportunity, an exceptional opportunity for me to give an interview for the television. I was so excited and so nervous that I forgot nearly everything. So now I see that I have a better opportunity to tell those words about friendliness, welcoming atmosphere, and how well we felt here all together. So first of all, my gratitude goes to Veselcha and Gordana, who well organized all the activities. They were very engaging and interesting for my students when they first read that they are going to take interviews. Then, of course, I have to thank the authorities of the school, the headmasters, for delicious food yesterday. And for delicious food, I have to thank all the chefs who worked here. Yeah, I think my students also liked it very much. And, of course, there is one more person. I think the teacher's name is Sasha. Yeah, and he at night took us from the airport to the hotel. Thank you him as well. So So thank you all once again, and hope to see you again sometime, and good luck to all of you. Have a good evening.
And now we will play a video presentation detailing our work these past 4 days.
close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams
we're gonna have our special and honored guest, a celebrity, a speaker celebrity. Our special guest, Arbana Pasholi, which unfortunately couldn't be here, but she prepared a video for us, which we appreciate a lot. So let's please go on and watch the video.
Dear representatives of the Yahya Kemal College, dear guests, dear teachers, dear students and parents, my dear friend and coordinator, Ms. Veselce. My name is Arbana Pasholi. I'm a psychologist with over 6 years of experience in secondary education, and I'm currently serving as a member of the parliament at the Assembly of North Macedonia. I'm sorry I cannot join you on this event physically, but it is an honor for me to address to you on this final event of your stay here in North Macedonia. As I hope you have enjoyed your stay, I believe that this won't be the last time you are visiting our country. As you probably learned along your stay, North Macedonia is a culturally diverse environment. Communities from different ethnic and religious backgrounds make efforts to co-live together in harmony despite all the socio-economic and political challenges we have faced in the past and still do despite significant progress in many areas. As we are different in regard to other communities, we are also different within our own communities, sharing different personalities, beliefs, and attitudes. And sometimes being different is misunderstood, especially if you have no access to information or you have false information about the unknown. This is how prejudices about others are born in us, and later they become beliefs and attitudes to defend. In this context, schools have an enormous weight in preparing children and students to be open to diversity, to understand it, to learn about it, and to appreciate it. To make teaching more relevant to diverse students, Gay and Kirkland state teachers need to have a thorough understanding of their own cultures and the cultures of different ethnic groups, as well as how this affects teaching and learning behaviors. Therefore, inter-ethnic and intercultural education should be a priority for primary and secondary education. This is a goal that cannot be achieved if there isn't will and intrinsic motivation. But if there is will and motivation to do so, it is possible mostly through the implementation of different projects promoting peace, tolerance, mutual respect, and empathy. In this context, I would define culture as a spiritual heritage transmitted from one generation to another through the spoken and written language, customs, and the way of living. I have been raised with the strong belief that the power of every nation relies on its education. The most often used motivational quote in school was, "Pen is the most powerful weapon," meaning that the written word, literacy, and education of a nation is the key to acknowledging its values, language, tradition, history, its existence, and its freedom in every sense of the word. The implementation of different intercultural and multi-ethnic integration projects where teachers and students cooperate and collaborate encourages social change, and especially in regard to students' attitudes about certain topics that they haven't been previously aware of. For example, when the school that I work got a new building with enough space for over 600 students and started to work in one shift, most of the Macedonian teachers teaching the students in Macedonian learning language, since we are a bilingual school, were afraid that we might have an increased number of conflicts between students of different ethnic groups. But being involved in projects that promote interethnic integration through art, games, and music, projects that promote tolerance, peace education, and ethical values, we manage to influence our students to cooperate, to respect each other, as well as the cultural differences, and to create a safe learning and living environment for all students in our school, despite their ethnic, cultural, and socioeconomic background. Some students come from different home environments where they have formed their personalities and have built attitudes, beliefs, prejudices, and perceptions about others. But it is our role as educators to nurture ethical values, tolerance, and respect for every individual and group, no matter our differences. To conclude, we need to offer safe spaces for our students to become active participants in this cause. Provenzano states, when students can take ownership of something, they take it more seriously. It is essential for us as educators to learn about students' psychosocial well-being and also about their emotional state. It is our duty to be there for them in every situation and to help them understand themselves better, to improve their attitudes toward themselves and also others that can be similar or different than them. Empowering students' voices and creating environments where they can freely express their opinions create opportunities to reflect and progress. Thank you very much for your attention. Good luck on your endeavors, and don't forget that your beautiful souls can make our world a better place to live. Thank you very much. Warm regards.
Prejudice will disappear when people learn to love each other's flaws and accept their differences and unique ways of expressing themselves, and living in the moment, when we stop comparing everything and anything and start being friendly to each other. Because some people are not open-minded at all, and they're not willing to love each other's differences. We encounter prejudice every day with homeless people back on the street and how people treat them. The reality will hit them, and karma will come back to them. The reality is the best teacher in life, so it is definitely an antidote to prejudice. Mace, Chedo, Desmine, Sana, Guste, and Mante, please join me on the stage to claim a prize. Thank you, guys. Following, we have short videos that the working groups have prepared to showcase their whole work as one whole project and to show what they worked on the past week. So I'm going to invite Group 1 to showcase their video and to present their work.
The past days, we didn't work just on a project prejudice. We worked on our self-development as individuals that will have a reflection in our future. We met new people, new cultures, and new perspectives. You know, all differences are heritage which value increases by stepping into the door called life, where all of us are at first humans. In life, there are many challenges. I won't say that it's easy, but every effort that we put is just one more segment of the big picture of our existence. I think that most of us would agree that we worked as a team, family, where all ideas were a path that leads to a successful and fulfilled project, where at all we had a lot of fun. Okay, so let's have a chronological retrospection of the project for the past few days. It started with confusion and enthusiasm and finished in a spirit of love and proudness. Remember the moment in the multimedia? We were all meeting each other, and I'm sure that each of us in our heads asked the question, what am I doing here? But now we all feel fulfilled and happy that we made a project together. We filled the worksheet for self-assessment for anti-bias behavior, where we rated ourselves about knowledge and the opinions of prejudice. After that, we had the team operations for the interviews that were conducted the following day, which strategy is based on the knowledge from the interview expert from Germany, Sona Peltz. She gave us the basic and the most important information for conducting a good and useful interview. The most challenging thing was to find a way you need to approach to a stranger from which you need to get a useful information. We learned that the communication and approaching skills played a main role in the conducting a good interview. We went to the city center and each of us had a specific job that was responsible to be done in a useful way. Besides working, we had a lot of fun. You know, just the fact that the difference in language united us as one valuable family. When we came back, we had the analyses from the interviews where we were comparing the different opinions which were based on the general values which lead us in our lives. The third day, at the beginning, we were preparing ourselves for the appointment with Ms. Arbana Pascioli in the European House. First, her workshop was an embodiment of her as a unique individual, as a mom, wife, daughter, sister, and at the end, MP, Member of Parliament. Why I'm telling this? In an aim to show you that the reality of life, to show you that we are not just what we are seen and responsible for. Life is like a story, and we are all characters with different roles, leading the main role on which is based the whole project. Arbana Pascioli told us for her two visible roles, MP and psychologist. She has encountered with many prejudice about her work as a woman in politics. The inequalities with which she has faced made her stronger and unique. Now I'm sure that you're asking yourself, why is she telling motivational speeches when she's supposed to write a retrospective of all the tasks they have done, right? I may talk about all the tasks, but then you'll be like, it's boring. But guys, you know, to be unique, valuable, and successful, you need to be simple at first. The simplicity is the new secret code for achievement.
After talking to Ms. Pascioli, we came up with our ideal parliament. We think the best source of income should be through taxes, because then every citizen will contribute to the country. In our parliament, volunteerism is stimulated because it will motivate women in politics and enables them to combine their lives as a mother and as a politician, which is a very important thing according to Ms. Pascioli. Our parliament will be located in the center of Skopje, so it will be accessible for everyone. We think our parliament needs to operate as a whole unit. The names of all individual politicians shouldn't be published and linked with decisions, so people will judge our parliament's actions and not its members. We think our parliament should arrange workshops to fight prejudice in our country. In conclusion, our ideal parliament combines all the elements we learned this week.
In the previous week, we had a lot of new experiences. We learned a lot about prejudice in our country. Everything that we did this week was connected with it. That's why we conducted interviews in the city center and also why we went to the Red Cross. At first we were strangers, but after working with everyone for 4 days, we got to know each other and most importantly made a lot of new friendships.
In our first activity, we met each other, not knowing anything more except our names and our appearances. We heard our most embarrassing stories and we got challenged to getting to know each other more in the next few days.
Our adventure started in the city center where we had an assignment to interview strangers about prejudice in their workplace. We were surprised to hear their answers and we got to see inside of Macedonian person and the problems they deal with it in their everyday life.
Our Dutch students met the Vice Dutch ambassador and talked with him about how his life as a Dutch in Macedonia. We owe him a special thanks because he helped them come here.
Our group had a field trip at the Red Cross and learned a lot about the homeless people in Macedonia and how they are being dealt with. We met an amazing person which life story touches. When we came back at the school, we made an amazing poster comparing the Red Cross organization in all 3 countries.
Thursday, we got the assignment to make an English test. We wanted to see if our English had improved, and fortunately, it did. After that, we made a documentary. The documentary you are all watching right now. During the making of it, we got to look back at all the fun activities we did with the project.
If we had the opportunity to create our ideal cross, it would be bigger, so more homeless people could live there. Our ideal Red Cross would also be able to find jobs for homeless people in the hope that they will try to make it on their own. We can get the medical mental health support 24/7, not just on Wednesdays and Fridays, but every day. Children will be able to get education. Everyone would have at least one pair of shoes. We would also build a hospital that provides healthcare even for intoxicated people. And at last, we would build a shelter for cats and dogs within the Red Cross.
At the beginning, not everybody knew the definition of prejudice, and that says a lot. After the field trips and after meeting all of these wonderful people, we realized what prejudice really is and that we face it every day. Our goal was to fight prejudice, and to achieve that goal, we gave equal attention to other people regardless of their religion, gender, or age. Valued cultural differences, avoiding stereotyping, and generalizing other people. We had lots of areas of growth, but we think that we took advantage of every moment and did our best.
Overall, this exchange was an amazing experience to all of us. I would definitely do it again if I got the chance. We got to meet so many nice people, and we were educated about prejudice. I'm sad that we're already leaving. I'm really looking forward towards the exchange in the Netherlands. Thank you for listening.
This week we spent our time talking about prejudice. We talked about our own prejudice and how they can restrain our minds and how we think. This week we worked hard and tried to overcome those prejudices. In the end, I think we can all agree that to a certain degree we indeed reached this goal. We came together as a group and worked together as a group despite all of our differences.
Say hi to our vlogs.
Hi.
On the first day, we started the day in a multimedia room. There we had an introduction and we got a bag which contained the program and the project. After the lunch, we learned about prejudice and started working in the groups, where we prepared the interviews for Tuesday. After school, we went to the cafe and talked and learned about each other. Later that day, we also ordered some food because we were hungry after a long day at school. And after that, we played board games in the park.
On the second day, which was Tuesday, we had a really fun time interviewing locals in the city center. We asked them questions which involved prejudice, and surprise, surprise, we had gotten very interesting answers. But apparently, since we aren't really chick magnets, one of our groups were on rejection streak. One man even gave us his wisdom. Everyone possesses prejudice, but people are afraid to admit that they do, because if they do, in fact, admit to it, they would technically claim to be imperfect. Then we had shown our presentation time before completely ending the job to go on a really fun break.
How do people feel about religion? Are they religious?
Day 3, we went on a field trip to Children's Embassy, and we learned about abused children who don't go to school, who get bullied a lot, and then we had like a really fun worksheet about this country and this country's people. Then we got back to school. We had a really fun time drawing like a Disney castle for our ideal children's embassy. We made a really fun one, a big one, a colorful one, because children love colors and everything else.
We spent the entire fourth day in school. It was the day when we should have summarized everything we did in the past week, together with all the new things we learned, and do a project about it. In the morning, we got our instructions on how to do the project. We discussed how our opinions about people from different ethnicity, nationality and religion changed during the past few days. We came to a conclusion that after we got to know each other better, the prejudice we had in the beginning disappeared. After that, we exchanged our ideas, put the best ones on paper and filmed the video.
We learned a lot about the Children's Embassy, about other people's opinions on the religion and the prejudice in their nation, and about our differences and how they made us so different, yet so similar. We learned to appreciate each other's cultures and ways of living.
We were so happy to get together and make new friends, new memories and learn new things. It was so fun doing all the tasks together, bonding with each other and visiting many interesting places and people.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we will move on to giving out the certificates. So could the students and coordinators from the Netherlands please come up to stage? Okay, now everybody could move back to their places. Okay, go ahead. And finally, the coordinators and students from Macedonia can come up to stage. Okay, could anybody left from the tech team and logistics team from Macedonia please come up to stage? Okay, that's all.
Well, this is the end. My dear friends, thank you, thank you, thank you again. Genuinely thank you for my Erasmus friends who, despite the pandemic, despite all the challenges, flew all the way from their countries to Skopje, Macedonia. And I think that we had a wonderful time. Thank you. See you, Dordrecht, the Netherlands. Let's keep our fingers crossed so that we manage to get there. Thank you again.